How will you feed the people?
Well, we're doing a few things. First of all, we decry the impact of climate change. For us, it is real. We had a cyclone last year and then followed by a drought. So it is impacting food output. So how will we feed the people? We are importing food. We've also been receiving support from the international community. We are shifting our budget in order to finance and climate-proof our agriculture, so investing in irrigation and investing in a drought-resistant crops. So we're doing everything we can, but also appreciate the support of the international community.
Importing food from where? Have contracts been signed? When will they be shipped?
Contracts are being signed. Contracts have been signed. We're shipping maize from, I'll just say Atlantic without maybe being precise, but
Mexico,
also from within.
Ukraine,
yes,
some of these countries?
Some of these countries, we mentioned some of them, absolutely. Contracts have been signed and we are ready, and we're already importing food.
Where will they be delivered? Which port? I'm just wondering how soon the food will come for the people.
Oh, Zimbabwe is well drilled in terms of dealing with droughts such as this one. We've had several droughts since independence. So we have a team that is very focused. They understand logistics. So, ships are delivering in Beira, and then we move it up by rail in trucks up to Zimbabwe. But also we're moving up food from South Africa. We're moving food from Tanzania via Zambia. So we're well drilled and well organized in terms of that.
You're running out of corn. You're running out of corn by end of this month. The food will arrive in time.
It's already arriving. It's already arriving. And also we're subsidizing some of the corn so that our citizens can afford it. That's part of the government subsidy to make sure that food is available, both in terms of pricing, in terms of access, as well as availability in the shops.
Is the country at risk of famine? Because even if the rains do come, it'll be quite difficult to get a decent season of corn.
Oh, no, the country is not at risk of famine. We're well organized, we are ready, and we also appreciate the international community support. So we understand what's going on.
When it comes to inflation, we talked about annual inflation of more than 500%. In fact, it's 520% annual inflation, month-on-month 17%. I mean, what's your thought? Because you've given the international community the promise that inflation can be reined in by 2019. Why should investors believe you?
Oh, they should, because we've walked the talk. We said that, what you call month-on-month inflation is going to be, stabilizing and going to be dropping. That's what has been happening. You talked about this figure of 17, essentially down to 16.5% or so. So it is, coming down slowly. But of course, year on year, it remains high. But that's expected. That's what happens when you liberalize a currency, and it's trying to find its equilibrium, trying to find its footing. We believe it has. In the last few months, it's been quite stable, actually. And so it has stopped the transmission of currency volatility into pricing. And so we believe that we're on our way to dealing with inflation. It will take time, but we're headed there.
You talk about the currency. When do you expect to perhaps issue bigger denominated currencies? Because currently it's just 5 Zimbabwean dollar, which is equivalent to 30 cents, US cents. I mean, that makes it really difficult for your people not to use foreign currency, which is adding to the pressure.
First of all, we're doing two things. We're injecting cash into the economy and drip-feeding the economy. But we want to do it in a non-inflationary way, where we're exchanging electronic currency for the physical cash. That's the first thing. The second thing is we're introducing higher denomination notes, $10 going 10, 20, and $50 during the course of 2020. That's what we'll be doing, introducing higher denomination notes to make it easy for citizens to transact. So that's going to happen over the next few months.
Any risk of tensions between the government and the labor unions because of wages, because of inflation? People are finding it difficult to live day to day.
Oh, we're engaging constructively with
How so?
With civil servants. In fact, just as I left, 2 days before I left, we increased wages to cushion the civil servants, and we expect the private sector to do the same. What has happened, Haslinda, is that really through the currency reform agenda, there's been what you call wage compression in economics. So we're having wages now catch up with the adjustment to the exchange rate, because retailers are still pricing in US dollars in their heads and translating that to domestic currency. So it has squashed the purchasing power of wages, and we're closing that gap by allowing wages to rise. So we know the issue and we're dealing with it.
And to help your finances, you've been, well, disposing your state-owned assets. Tell us about the progress. Where do you go from here?
You mean reforming state-owned companies? Or we're making decent progress. So what we've done the first step, which was to decide which ones should be partially privatized, which ones should be liquidated, which ones should be departmentalized, and which ones that we shouldn't even touch. So we've done all that. That's what we did in 2019. So 2020, this year is about now doing the transactions in terms of liquidation, in terms of partial privatization. So we see us make progress in partially privatizing the telecoms company, the motor vehicle assembly company, capitalizing our silo industries, which is providing affordable basic commodities. We'll be privatizing the banking assets that we own. We're going to make a lot of progress this year, and that we want to make sure that we really create a private sector-led economy in Zimbabwe. It's not surprising that actually we've improved in terms of the environment for doing business by 15 places last year. And we're determined to keep improving that. So we want to improve the environment for doing business, and privatization is part of that story, creating a more private sector-led economy.
Minister Ncube, before we let you go, just one final question. The world currently grappling with the China virus. Lots of concern and concerns are rising. What's your take on that?
You mean like China-US issues?
The China virus, the coronavirus.
In terms of health issues? Well, look, our health systems are strong. We continue to invest more in the health sector. We believe that this is something that we can tackle. But when you've got a global phenomenon like that, we know that everyone is involved, World Health Organization, everyone is watching this. So we don't feel that we're particularly vulnerable more than anyone else. I thought you were referring to the US-China trade issues, which we watch, by the way. Because we're a commodity producer, we're watching commodity prices. So for us, any deal that stabilizes Chinese growth going forward is good for commodities, is good for us in the developing world. So we're happy with what has happened so far in terms of the two powers agreeing on some deal.